it was not lawful for a man to utter, speaks of himself as less than the least of all the saints. It was the beloved John that leaned on Jesus' breast and beheld his glory, who fell as dead before the angel. The more closely and continuously we behold the Savior, the less shall we see to approve in ourselves. The Chalzone vision is the vision of sacred history. In Daniel 10:14, it's the vision that tells what shall befall God's people in the last days. That's the Chalzone vision. It's the vision of prophetic history. And Proverbs 29:18 says what? Where there is no Chalzone vision, the people perish. It doesn't say Mare vision. Do you have to understand the prophetic message? Yes. You don't understand the prophetic Chalzone vision, you perish. That's what Hosea 4:6 says. My people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. All those verses are referenced in your notes. What's the sealing? We all know this quote. It's a settling into the truth both spiritually and intellectually. What's intellectual in the context of what we're studying? What's the intellectual? It's the Chalzone vision. What's the spiritual? It's the Mare. Do you have to have them both? Well, if you want to be sealed. If you want to be sealed, you have to have the Chalzone and the Mare, the intellectual and the spiritual. Notice under character. This is one that is problematic for many. You should keep off Satan's enchanted ground and not allow your minds to be swayed from allegiance to God. Through Christ you may and should be happy and should acquire habits of self-control. Even your thoughts must be brought into subjection to the will of God and your feelings under the control of reason and religion. Your imagination was not given you to be allowed to run riot and have its own way without any effort at restraint or discipline. If the thoughts are wrong, the feelings will be wrong. And the thoughts and feelings combined make up the moral character. When you decide that as Christians you are not required to restrain your thoughts and feelings, you are brought under the influence of evil angels. Is she just being metaphorical there? Or does she really mean you're brought under the influence of evil angels? And invite their presence and their control. If you yield to your impressions and allow your thoughts to run in a channel of suspicion, doubt, and repining, you will be among the most unhappy of mortals, and your lives will prove a failure. Thoughts and feelings combined make up moral character. If your thoughts are right, your feelings will be right. Okay? The sealing is a settling into the truth both of your thoughts and your feelings, both intellectually and spiritually, mind and heart. What's the preeminence one there? What's the preeminent one? I heard a sister today I almost said, I don't agree with you, sister, but she didn't quite go far enough for me to jump in. What do I mean by what's the preeminent one? What I'm saying here, the Mare vision. The Mare vision. That's the feelings. The Chalzone vision, that's the thoughts. The Chalzone vision, that's the intellectual, that's the spiritual. You have to have them both. The prophets had them both. But which one takes preeminence over the other? The Chalzone. So the sister was saying something, and she didn't say it, so I'm not trying to misrepresent her words. I'm trying to make a point. I have to come to the foot of the cross. I have to be humbled in the dust like Isaiah was in order to have the coal put upon my lips to be purified. But if I don't have the understanding of these things, to know that that's my responsibility, to know that that's a requirement, if I don't understand it, if I don't understand that I'm in a lost condition, that I'm in the greatest deception of all time, thinking everything's all right when everything's all wrong, then I don't participate into coming into the most holy place and attaining that experience. I have to have the thoughts to lead me there. And if my thoughts are right, my feelings will be right. You have to have them both. But these people in Adventism that all they want to emphasize is the experience, they're in a delusion, according to God's Word. Notice Testimonies, Volume 5, page 753. In the visions given to Isaiah, to Ezekiel, and to John, we see how closely heaven is connected with the what? The events taking place upon earth, and how great is the care of God for those who are loyal to him. The world is not without a ruler. The program of coming events is in the hands of the Lord. The majesty of heaven has the destiny of nation as well as the concerns of his church in his own charge. Next quote. The 6th chapter of Isaiah has a deep and important lessons for every one of God's workmen. Study it with humility and earnest prayer. The 1st and 2nd chapters of Ezekiel should also be carefully studied. We've been dealing with Isaiah 6. Now she's tying it in with Ezekiel 2 and 3. What's Ezekiel 2 and 3? That's the wheels within the wheels and the cherubims and the same vision, the vision of God's glory. The wheels within wheels represented in this symbol was confusion to the finite eye. But a hand of infinite wisdom was revealed amid the wheels. Perfect order is brought out of confusion. How many of you have ever seen the reform line presentations? Okay, we've all seen that, right? Do you remember the first time you seen someone teaching the reform lines, line upon line? What was it? It was confusion. Those lines are the wheels. You hang in there. Perfect order is understood in these lines upon lines. What are these lines? They're the work of Christ. They're the events that took place in the past and will take place today that are represented by these wheels that are under the providential control of the Lord. Next quote. After quoting from Ezekiel, in the middle of that quote, it says, from Education 178, I'm in the first paragraph, after she quotes from Ezekiel, it says, the wheels were so complicated in arrangement that at first sight they appeared to be in confusion. First time we seen the line upon line, wow, that was confusing. That was the wheels. But they moved in perfect harmony. Heavenly beings sustained and guided by the hand beneath the wings of the cherubim were impelling these wheels. Above them, upon the sapphire throne, was the Eternal One, and around about the throne a rainbow, the emblem of divine mercy. As the wheel-like complications were under the guidance of the hand beneath the wings of the cherubim, so the what? Complicated play of human events. There's your wheels. She just defined it. The wheels within the wheels are the complicated play of human events that are under the control of the Lord. Is under divine control. Amidst the strife and tumult of nations, he that sitteth above the cherubim still guides the affairs of the church. Now she just follow me on this. She's just tied together Isaiah 6 and Ezekiel 2 and 3. It says there's the same vision. Right? Earlier, from the quote where she was tying Job and Paul and Isaiah and John together in the Mare vision, I made the claim that when Paul saw in the third heaven things which could not be uttered, that this was the seven thunders, which is the Millerite history, which is a manifestation of the power of God. And I said that that's what Isaiah saw. Notice what she says here. Isaiah had a wonderful view of God's glory. He saw the manifestation of God's power. And after beholding his majesty, a message came to him to go and do a certain work. Dropping down to the last bold-faced part of that paragraph because of time. It says, this is the work that as individuals we need to have done for us. What do we need to have done for us? We need to see a manifestation of God's power. That's what Isaiah saw. That's what Paul saw. That's what Ezekiel saw. What's a manifestation of God's power? Well, it's Sister White that's writing these words, so we're supposed to let her words define it for us. And in Great Controversy 6:11, she says, the angel who unites in the proclamation of the third angel's message is to lighten the whole earth with his glory. A work of worldwide extent and unwanted power is here foretold. The Advent movement of 1840 to 44 was a glorious manifestation of the power of God. Isaiah saw the Millerite history, and he saw that it was illustrating our history today. And who does he represent? He represents us at the end of the world. And the Millerite history from 1840 to 1844, what is that? It could be, there's probably lots of right answers, but I want a certain right answer. It's a fulfillment of Joel, is it not? Okay, she's talking about the angel of Revelation 18. We all know that's the latter rain angel. That's a fulfillment of Joel. 1840 to 44, that was a fulfillment of Joel. Notice the next paragraph in Great Controversy 6:11. The work will be similar to that of the day of Pentecost. Was the day of Pentecost a fulfillment of Joel? So when Isaiah sees God's glory, he sees the Mare vision. He sees the character of Christ. He's humbled into the dust, but at the same time, he sees the manifestation of God's power, which is illustrated most clearly in the history of Christ at Pentecost, in the history of the Millerites, and in the history of the latter rain during the time period of the 144,000. Is Isaiah representing God's people at the end of the world? What do God's people at the end of the world have to see? They have to see the latter rain. They have to see the glorious manifestation of the power of God that's illustrated in the three histories that are a fulfillment of Joel: Pentecost, the midnight cry, the loud cry. And we're all familiar with these quotes, right? Seventh-day Adventist Bible Commentary, Volume 7, 984. We must not wait for the latter rain. It's coming up on all who will what? Do the same thing that Isaiah did. Move into the most holy place and have a personal confrontation with Jesus Christ. And you have four other familiar quotes about our responsibility to recognize the latter rain. Do you follow what I'm saying? I'm saying that Sister White has tied together Ezekiel and John and Paul and Isaiah having the same experience. And when Paul had his experience, he saw things that were not lawful to utter. And what he saw is the history that represents the manifestation of the power of God, which is the seven thunders, which uttered their voices, but which were sealed up until just before the close of probation. So what I'm saying here is this. I'm closing now. Setting up for tomorrow. I really am closing. And this is totally review for all of us. Okay, so it'll be very simple here.